Welcome back to another Money Mondays. Happy Monday to you. We are coming back live and in full effect. Hey, baby.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Welcome back to our channel where we talk about everything budgeting, saving, debt payoff while being a family and not losing our marbles over it. Okay, so do you want to hear about what our topic is for today?
Yes, I would like to hear that.
The title of this video is going to be, I'm going to name it How We Combined Finances, What Worked and What Didn't. This is going to be a super easy video, but I feel like it's kind of like one of those foundational videos where we have to say it because we can't assume that people know. So it's just going to be a brief synopsis of how we make money work together as a family of three, especially since Micah is the high earner. So we're just going to dabble and just see what we see and talk about what we want to talk about. Okay, so we're going to first talk about the early days where we first met. How did you manage your money before Rochelle and before Eva?
Ouch. I first, I guess when I starting in the beginning with my job, lived at home, didn't really have to worry about managing money per se because my expenses were low. I guess the first time I really had to manage money was when I moved out on my own. And I had enough to cover all my basic bills. I was debt free.
Say it again.
I was debt free. The only debt I ever incurred as a single person was I had brought rims for my, I had a Jeep Cherokee, and I paid all. I brought those outright cash, but then I had to get new tires, and they were like $300 a piece. And this is back in the year 2000. I wasn't a high earner or anything like that, and so I had to finance my tires a little bit, and I went into debt for those. But that was just like $1,200, so it wasn't like any major type of debt or anything like that.
How long did it take you?
While I was financing these tires, I got married. So I think I had like $500 left to pay off, and I only had one credit card. And the reason why I financed it was because I wanted to establish some credit. Everybody says, oh, you need to establish credit, this, that, and the other. So that's why I put it on a credit card. So I think I might have had the money to pay for it, but I wanted to build some debt. Yeah. So while all this was happening, I was trying to pay for a marriage and, doing all things, prepared a house for a wife and things like that. And then after we got married,
well, let's stop.
Okay, let's stop.
So, my money was in shambles before we got together. And honestly, it should have been a huge red flag. I can't believe Micah still continued dating me because I was so bad with money. Like, I had, an allowance from my dad. I would get random money gifts from like my aunties out of state. They always would send me a couple dollars because both of my parents randomly had like 9 brothers and sisters. Totally right. Like 8, 9 brothers and sisters. So I always had cousins around and always had some aunties that would slide me a couple dollars. And I just never knew about budgeting. I never knew about the importance of setting something to the side for an emergency. None of that. I also worked every other weekend and I was in college. So imagine. And I was in nursing school, so I was extra stressed. So I would say the thought of just being responsible with money didn't even occur to me. And of course, the first thing they did when I got started with college is they gave us a credit card, and they were like, oh yeah, it's how you can pay for things that aren't covered by your scholarship. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. It was only for $500, y'all. It might as well have been $5 million. I took forever to pay off that little one credit card. I closed that credit card. I was going to say, I think I still have it to this day, but no. So that was me.
Yeah. So I know when we were courting and about to make the move into marriage, and Rochelle said it should have been a red flag. Yeah, there were some red flags. And I remember having a discussion, and I said, hey, I can't remember what book it was, and I was like, I read this book, or I might have just said, hey, you should read a book on like financial literacy or just how to have a budget and things like that. Because I was like, oh, it's just like a whirlwind of coming through with money. And I was like, just so we're on the same page, financially, we should at least have like our both educated a method of how we're going to work our finances together.
Yep. I ain't listen.
And she ain't read nothing. She ain't read nothing. She just came in shooting from the hip. $5, $10. It's about that $200.
I thought you was going a way different direction, shooting from the hip. What? Okay, so now let's talk about what happened when we merged our finances. First, let's start with the good. What did work when we came together and merged our finances?
For me, for the first few years, nothing worked. I remember one of our first financial discussions, because a single guy, bachelor pad, 1-bedroom apartment, and Rochelle was like, one of her first major asks was like, can we get a 2-bedroom? And the other thing was like, we need like some furniture in here immediately. And I was like, we're married, we don't need another bedroom. It's just the two of us. And then like the furniture, I had like one couch.
I don't know why I thought we needed 2 bedrooms. That's been living rent free in my head since you said it at like one of the other Money Mondays. I cannot remember.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
I don't know.
And then the other thing was like, because I had one chair. It was like a sofa chair. And it's only was a room for one person to sit in it. So I was like, well, you can just sit in the chair. And I got like a folding chair I could sit in, because it was like a card table, because I would have people over and we play cards. I was like, remember, we need to get all these couches and things like that. And we definitely can't get it right away because we didn't save for it. And she was like, well, just throw it on the card. And I was like, I don't do that. I was like, I already got a balance on the card and I'm paying off. So I'm building my credit. I don't need to put anything else on the card. We just saved twice the amount of money for the couch, so we don't feel bad when we buy the couch. And she was like, nah, we need it right away. So.
Throw the whole Rochelle away. Just horrible. And I remember just getting paid and feeling like the money didn't even hit my bank account. I mean, I was only working a few hours anyway, but I wasn't even like trying. I was eating out. I was eating on the way to work. I was, eating on campus. And that was with a scholarship. That's what's crazy. So and mind you, so college, so that's obvious. So I was 19 and he was 20 when we got married. So when I asked him what was, how were your finances before marriage, I'm asking him about how he was with money at 17 or 18 years old. So imagine how good he was with money at such a young age. So dare I say my behavior was age appropriate? but it just goes to show you how different two people can be. And so I think you need to learn each other from day one. Don't try to act like you didn't see that version of your spouse before y'all hooked up and before y'all moved in together, and then think you're going to change them, or maybe they're different now than they were with money. Old habits die hard, and probably the way they were with money before is how they're going to be now.
Yeah. Sorry, there's beeping on the background. Let me go get that.
It's okay.
It's okay?
It's going to stop, right?
Yeah, it should stop.
It's the Instant Pot.
Yeah, I'm going to make some black eyed peas with some smoked ham hocks.
And that's why I had to hurry up and put a ring on it. That man can cook.
But speaking of which, of course we were dating and stuff like that, so we were going out to eat. But other than that, like as a couple and stuff like that. But other than that, I ate in the house. Like I didn't do like a lot of ordering out, maybe if people came over or something like that. But even then, sometimes it was I would be the guy who was like cooking for everybody, and I had like food in I always kept my fridge stocked, and I always had food in the house, so it wasn't a whole lot of eating out. And I was like, after like being married, I was like, I don't think we're supposed to be eating out this much.
And my mama probably did try to teach me to cook. I should send her this video. Mom, did you teach me how to cook or try to? I know I had no interest. To this day, it disgusts me to go walk into a kitchen. I would pay for a chef if I could afford it. I mean, I'm paying for you, but I have no interest. I would rather keep it stocked. So my role in the kitchen to this day is to keep things in stock. That's why I'm like a horrible person when it comes to the shopping list, because I'm always like, did you use the last lemon juice and not add it to the shopping list? Like, that's my job. My job is to keep the kitchen stocked so that if Micah feels like making beans one day, he can make him some beans for us. But you know what I mean? Like that, and Eva is the cleanup. Everybody has their role. And I think it works for us. It always has. Micah has come to expect. He's like shocked when I'm in the kitchen, and then they don't even want me in the kitchen, because then if I am in the kitchen, I'm so upset that I'm in the kitchen and I'm not fun to be around. You see how that don't work? But I think that was a contributing factor into how we started eating out, because I grew up eating my mom's home cooking until the day I moved out, never really having to cook, and then all of a sudden, I came to Micah's house and Micah would cook. But then if Micah didn't cook, I was like, it's okay. We can just order a pizza. And that's how it started.
And here's the thing, because like Rochelle has a fast metabolism. So I was cooking.
I used to.
I was cooking, but she can eat. She can eat. It's like first dinner, second dinner, first lunch, second lunch.
I was that 6 meal a day for sure.
Yeah.
Then the meals wasn't small.
And I was maybe 2 meals a day, and that was good. And she was like, well, what's for dinner? I was like, oh, we just had dinner. Or I'll be making dinner. And she's like, well, I'm going to order something until dinner's made. I'm like, what?
This was the video I was planning on making about food, because we have such a huge food story. Okay, so we got to pause because we're getting too much into the food. But I'm telling you, we got some stories. So I don't think Micah came up with one thing that worked when we merged our finances, so I will attempt. What worked was, selfishly, I got a money increase. It was like Micah just started paying for everything. So I went from living at home with my parents to moving in with him. We got married. And I still didn't know really what bills were. I will say my parents had me paying like the quarterly water bill and the house phone, something like that. I do have early memories of doing that. But those bills used to be so cheap. And I didn't know what it was to pay rent. So when I actually had to like write a check, I remember writing that, oh my God, we got to spend all this money to pay for rent. So yeah, I think that was, it was a win for me and a loss for him.
Yeah, because I remember in the beginning, like, I took care of all the bills as far as, like, paying them. And I had, like, a beautiful system that Rochelle hated to this day. But everything was on index cards, and I had a little box full of index cards with bills. And as, like, a bill was due, they were all in order by the dates the bills were due. So when one was due, it had how much was due at the top, the date it was due, and I knew, like, when to mail off. It had the date that I need to mail off, because I used to mail off all my bills. I had to think of stamps and envelopes and everything. And I never had, like, late bills and stuff like that. And she was like, why don't you get a computer? I think when we got married, we had a computer. He was like, all that stuff is online. And I was like, I ain't putting my information on the internet. That's how old we are. But for me, like, that system worked. And then we did start going, and I started using auto pay for this and auto pay for that. And I think we kind of talked about this like 2 videos ago. I was so tight with the budget and the bills and things like that. Rochelle said, I need to take over this budget because she said she felt like she couldn't breathe. She was like, I went to the store and got some makeup, some eyelash. She was like, well, that wasn't in the budget. I asked you what you needed this month. And she was like, you don't understand what it is to be a woman. And we were having like real blow up arguments. So to keep the peace, I was like, all right, let's see how you do. And how did you do?
Horrible. I think I've gotten better over the years, but it's kind of like a too little, too late type scenario. So my goal, I'm just sharing this with you. This is hot off the press. Mm-hmm. My goal is at some point, I'm going to turn everything back over to you.
Okay.
It could happen as soon as we get to like 50% debt. I don't want to hand things back to you when everything's a mess. I want to hand things back to you when there's a silver lining of hope, at least, you know what I mean? You handed it to me when things were great. And so it's only right that I reciprocate and give it to you, when money and our finances are in better shape. But you are so good with money. Micah is the GOAT with money.
And I'll say like, oh, thank you, Boo. First off, thank you. But and she's good with money now. She finally read a book on money. I remember the day. She was like, I read this book and you need to read it. And I was like, wow, we broke down. I mean, what am I budgeting? But I remember like in the beginning, like I made a good amount of money. She made a good amount of money. This is like when after she became
I didn't
like.
make no money.
There was a period in our relationship where you like caught up to how much I was making because you became a nurse and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like I started making more, and it was like a race at that point to like who could make like whenever one would get a raise, it was like a month after randomly the other person would get a raise, and we were like both increasing our incomes like at a really good pace.
Nurse and electrician, baby.
Nurse and electrician.
Don't let nobody tell you trades are not good money.
Right, and at the time it was double income, no kid. But as fast as we was getting it, we were spending it. But I remember at that time our money was separate, and we would just come together and pay bills. Or she would say, "I need this much for the bills," or things like that. But I think what happened was it when you quit your job, something happened, and you went down to zero income, or like real low income, and I was taking care of all the bills and things like that. But I was like, we need to put this money together.
See, I don't remember this. I have dementia, y'all.
And she fought me on it. I was like, you ain't got nothing. I'm trying to help you out. And she gave me, I remember the story. She was like, I'm a black woman married to a man who could leave me at any time, and I don't want to be on the street with nothing. And I was like, I'm trying to help you out. You ain't got nothing.
This is so crazy to hear. I don't have any memories of this, but I'm glad you bring it up because it shows how money and life are a journey. And like, I tell him this all the time. Like, I love him, but I really like Micah because I surprised myself with how much I have changed. And I'm to the point like I don't do lashes, I don't do makeup, I don't do any of the stuff that I used to start 5-hour arguments over. It's just so crazy because it's like, man, if I had just like kind of listened back then, we probably would have been golden. But I mean, I still buy stuff, I still buy makeup and stuff. But I think living in Hawaii, it's just like, I ain't putting that makeup on. It's gonna melt off. Yeah, but you know, it's too hot for all that. But
and she cute.
Oh, thank you, boo. But I always feel like, you know, it's a journey. And so you got to give yourself grace. But it is so hard when you are working with someone trying to help them get better with their money and they aren't making those changes over time. Like if I'm talking to you and then I talk to you again in 10 years and you're still trying to accomplish the same thing, it's hard. It's hard to, and that's why I don't let people get me down who are like, oh, you back in debt again. I look at it as, oh, I know how to get out of debt because I've been debt free before. And this is my burden to bear. I know like we're married and everything, but Micah is not the reason why we are in debt. I am the problem. And so that's why I'm working on myself, and having these type of conversations helps keep me accountable on the way up.
I remember there was one time I did rebel against the budget. And this was like, because, you know.
I know this story.
You know this story?
Go ahead.
This is like, I think we were pregnant at the time. And I had pushed it off all, like, my whole life, but I always wanted a motorcycle. And I was like, it's now or never. I had got to that point because I was like, I'm not going to be able to save up enough for it because it ain't enough. I said, I'm going to blow the budget. It don't matter. The budget's getting blown every month anyway. My time to play. So I just took some money and I was like, babe, I'm taking some money. We don't got it. We sure don't. And I went and got myself a motorcycle. Now, my motor blowing the budget. His motorcycle was $1,200.
That was a big deal for Micah.
Yeah, I didn't go new. I found a used one on like Craigslist. This dude was selling one like 50 minutes away from us or whatever. And I said, sir, I'm going to give you a $500 down payment. And the way my checking and savings is set up, it's going to take me $3 to transfer from savings to checking. But I will have the money for you in 3 weeks because I also need to get paid, and I'm taking straight from my check before it hits the account and can get spent on other stuff, I'm wrecking the budget and I'm getting a bite. And I remember that, and yeah.
I was happy for you. I was proud of you. I was like, look at Micah fighting back. Because, baby, I was a spender. He was basically like, I'm spending it before you can even spend it. Like, that. Do you know how toxic I had to be at that time for him to break a good man to be like, dang, I'm going to take my money and do what I want. But, yeah, what happened with that?
Oh, man, I had an amazing time on the motorcycle. It was beautiful. I can't wait to get another one. There was a little small accident where I fell off and, I was in the hospital and I was in crutches for a while and things like that. But, it was, I'll stop there because it's a sore subject for Rochelle. 100% recommend.
And that is a part of just like give and take in a relationship and how money is attached to so many other things going on in your relationship. So stop acting like you can just work in one lane and, it not affect others. Like, come on. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh,
go ahead, Bull.
I was going to say, I think for like where we're at financially now, I think all our other videos pretty much tell the story, and I think we're up to 20 minutes. So you want to cut it here and go through another question? Because we did this whole video on one question, or you want to keep going?
That was the topic. So the last part of it is, what advice do you have for couples who are thinking about combining finances or thinking about keeping them separate? And let me just add, this is based on a couple comments that we received on some of our videos. So thank y'all.
I say this all the time, but I think it's important to have the hard discussions, and I keep saying it every time because it's just going to work every time. I think as a newly married man, when we first got, I was scared to have the hard discussions. Yeah, and I was like, "Oh yeah, baby, whatever you want, boo. This, that, and the other. Yeah, and then." Stay off of TV and social media that makes you think that you're going to have everything all at once. It takes time to build, even after you get married, it takes time to build a relationship. It takes time to build a financial a financial future, or to build wealth. Everything takes sometimes self. Good, solid foundation. And I think did it die?
Oh, no, it says 10% left.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, sorry. My question. I'm a big believer in setting a good foundation, because if the top of your empire falls off, that good foundation will still hold you up every time. So having that good discussion with each other, building a solid foundation of how you both expect your finances to go, sticking to the plan. And I say for some, or a lot of times, budgeting and financing should be boring. There's nothing exciting about it. You get your check, you pay this, you save this, rinse and repeat. Now, there are certain times where you will make big money decisions. You're buying a car, you're investing here, you're doing this, but you got to make sure your foundation is secure. You both are buy into the same plan as to what your foundation is going to be. So if all else fails, you can both can come back to that same foundation and say, this is our goal that we plan to do together. Make a plan, stick to the plan, always deliver.
It's from Storks, y'all. So in closing, I think that what would have fixed a lot of our money issues early on would have been to just let Micah keep budgeting for us. He should have never handed over the keys to the kingdom, and I would have never needed a shovel this big to get us out of debt. So sometimes the man be right, y'all. We gotta stop this whole empowerment thing. Like, if I could only do damage with the money that I was bringing in, I would have only been able to hurt myself, and I would only have been able to do it at so big a level. But because I had access to your income, I was able to do more damage. So I think finding out and being honest about where you are in your money situation is crucial. Don't be in denial.
So I have a question for you. I know we talked about ending this video. What was the turning point for you? Which made you say, I'm going to read this book, or I'm going to do, I want to fix this?
That's easy. I watched a YouTube video that randomly popped up by natural fit nurse Kimberly, who basically showed her journey on how she got herself out of debt. They have separate finances. Don't quote me, but y'all know natural fit nurse. She's an OG on here, and I think she just started posting content again. But I was so impressed with how she was a nurse. And I was so impressed with how she could budget while nursing, because what was happening was all of a sudden you come into this income. Like he said, all of a sudden I caught up and I finished all the things I got out of school, which is, I feel like, a major key. You got to finish school. You got to finish something. There's so many people who start college and don't finish. Y'all, even if you got to switch to trade school, I had to switch to community college and I finished. And I had to switch from wanting to be an RN to wanting to be an LPN. They make great money. Don't let nobody tell you different. So I think that was the turning point. And then after Natural Fit Nurse's video, Fun and Budget Travels video played next, Tanisha Davis. And I was like, look at these Black women traveling. Both traveled. Kim loved going to Vegas. And then Tanisha likes traveling to the next great place. And they both still make money, budget it, get out of debt while still traveling. And I was like, I got to get me some of that. And they started talking about Dave Ramsey. And that's why I clicked on those videos and I was like, Micah's been saying this. Yeah. Had to eat crow and crawling back to Micah like, oh, you was right, shorty, my bad. I messed up bad.
Okay, I never heard that story. That's cool. Thank you, Tanisha and Natural Fit Nurse. Thank you. Thank you.
It's not the message, it's the messenger sometimes. I didn't know that, Black women could be that successful on their own, whether they were in a relationship or not. I didn't have that. Exposure.
Is that it? Are we done?
I think that's it.
Everybody, thank you so much for spending this time with us. If you're clocking what I'm clocking, it's been about 27, coming up on 20. The probably time we end, it'll probably be about 28 minutes. But we appreciate all of your time and dedication listening to us tell our stories. We hope you enjoyed our time with us this Money Monday. So if you have any questions for us in the future, please leave them in the comments and we will be sure to add them to a future upcoming video. So stay tuned because your questions will be answered.
That's it, y'all. We'll see you on the next Money Monday.
Peace, love, and budgets. Aloha.